Bro, there's no way people actually believe this. So we got a video by Polarstone and quote unquote Oda doesn't care about power scaling. And honestly, here's where the issue starts, right? If Shanks is actually stronger than Mihawk, then I would say yeah, Oda clearly doesn't care about power scaling because Mihawk is literally meant to be the world's strongest swordsman. So if Shanks, who is a swordsman, is stronger than him, that defeats Zoro's entire goal and journey. So Oda kind of has to care about power scaling.
Oda doesn't care about power scaling. It's such a funny take, man. Like, I feel like people only really say this because they've had like a negative experience discussing power scaling.
I think Oda doesn't care about power creep, but I do think he cares about power scaling. The thing is, apparently Loki's stronger than Kaido, which is a little bit crazy, but yeah, the power creep is just, it's hidden, man.
With like an annoying person or a group of people or their agenda that they like got ruined and they kind of just checked out from everything else. And honestly, I think that's fair on a personal level. Like if you actually just don't care at all about any power scaling discussions and want nothing to do with it and just want to focus on another aspect of the story, whether that being like lore or character writing or design, etc., etc. I genuinely think that's perfectly fine. But to say that he doesn't care at all about power scaling, it's so silly. Like, I get that Oda is the kind of guy who, instead of answering relevant questions about the story, would rather confirm that Jinbei's junk is blue in an SBS.
Wait, bro.
But saying he doesn't care about it is just blatantly
Nah, that's actually crazy though. That is demonic.
wrong. Not just for One Piece, but for like any story. It's simply a narrative tool that can be used to establish threats and raising the stakes and even
Oh, bro, poor Invincible. I don't even watch Invincible, but I know what Anissa's gonna do to him in season 5 or, soon enough.
character development and progression. And all you really have to do is just focus on Luffy to really understand what I'm saying. Like, for example, circling back to Luffy versus Enel.
Bro, when are we gonna see Enel again? Like, a lot of people are speculating that Enel is going to return.
Is just gassing himself up and he's calling himself a god and just spouting a bunch of nonsense during the battle. And this man thinks that if he can just get rid of Luffy, then nobody else can stop him. And Luffy just looks at him and goes, "What the hell are you talking about, dude?"
Bro, Enel, low-key, Enel was honestly a pretty good villain. He kind of reminds me, like, because Enel is so, like, narcissistic and has this, like, god complex, he kind of reminds me of, like, Koenji from Classroom of the Elite, and a little bit like Aizen from Bleach, bro.
A bunch of people who can beat the brakes off you. Luffy literally acknowledges just how many dangerous people are sailing the ocean.
Yeah, bro, that's actually crazy. Luffy giving Enel this reality check is insane, bro.
He gets his butt whooped by Aokiji during Long Ring Longland, and what he takes from that experience is that he's too weak to beat these higher level threats. He even says he's too weak to even beat Bluno in base, so he develops Gear 2 specifically to close the gap in strength so he can be strong enough to protect his friends. I'm sure that won't be brought up later in the story, but hey, Oda doesn't care about power scaling. Like, how can you actually look at Sabaody, Amazon Lily, Impel Down, and Marineford and just accept that take? Luffy spent those 4 arcs getting absolutely ragdolled by the higher level characters in the story.
Yeah, for sure.
Kuma cooked the Straw Hats so badly, the narrator said that they got eradicated, gets embarrassed by Boa's sisters, not even Boa herself, and is forced to use Gear 2 because they can use Haki. Magellan straight up almost kills Luffy in Impel Down.
Magellan has one of the strongest devil fruits in One Piece. Like, unironically, Magellan's, I mean, his devil fruit is literally poison, right? Like, it's not even funny. I think the only way you could survive Magellan is if you can, like, coat yourself with advanced conquerors, maybe.
And then Marineford is just Luffy getting whooped by so many characters over and over again. You reread Marineford and you will see that Kizaru was on Luffy's ass that entire arc. Aokiji was gonna smoke him if it wasn't for Marco, and I don't think I really need to explain to you Akainu, guys. Even the Vice Admirals weren't giving Luffy a break. And after it all blows over,
I mean, yeah, strength definitely matters in One Piece. I'm assuming when people say Oda doesn't care about power scaling, they're more so, I feel like they aren't actually talking about power scaling. They might be talking about like power creep or maybe just balancing power. Even like it's just kind of weird because we had Luffy literally right here, right? Yeah, he says he's so weak, and obviously strength is gonna matter if Luffy's trying to become the Pirate King. Um, yeah, it's tough, man.
Luffy is left mentally distraught and is angry at his own weakness, tells his crew to get stronger and meet up in 2 years, and then trains with one of the most legendary pirates in the verse so that he becomes strong enough that he never has to grow through what he did during those previous arcs mentioned. But you know, like, Oda doesn't care about power scaling. Like, what are we even talking about, man? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that there are annoying people who power scale, but acting like this man hasn't spent a drastically long time establishing the major powers of the world and repeatedly highlighting that Luffy has to become strong enough to overcome these major roadblocks in order to become the Pirate King is just being disingenuous. And there's always that one guy that wants to bring up the old Stan Lee quote, God.
I think this is it. When people say Oda doesn't care about power scaling, I think they're focused on the fact that they believe that Oda is more focused on just the overall narrative of One Piece, and that Oda just doesn't necessarily care about, power creep or power scaling, right? They're like he's more focused on the overall narrative. So like Akainu got beat up by Whitebeard in Marineford or whatever, but in the current chapters and stuff, he's the fleet admiral. He's gonna get hyped up, like he's gonna get stronger. It's kind of just a natural narrative plot progression, like towards the end of the series, characters are going to be stronger.
Rest his soul about whoever wins the fight in a story is who the writer chooses, and they act like it's such a gotcha moment. Like, yeah, buddy, no shit. But it's not like Oda is having Luffy now get worked by a bunch of randoms. Like, if Luffy right now lost to, say, Kobe, for example,
That
you
would
think
be
people are
wild.
just gonna stomach that result
That'd
when
be
Kobe
cooked,
hasn't
bro.
done anything that would prove he's anywhere near Luffy right now? No, of course not, because that wouldn't be consistent to everything Oda has already established. When Luffy fought Katakuri, the whole
Honestly, I still don't even think that Luffy's stronger than like Kaido, like on a serious note, bro, because Kaido got jumped by like 10 people and he had to hold up the entire island Onigashima.
whole point was struggling to reach this man's level of observation hockey. Against Kaido,
Now Luffy versus Katakuri, that was probably my favorite, like my number one favorite fight in One Piece.
it was standing his ground against one of the strongest pirates alive
Luffy versus Doflamingo was also great, but Katakuri was just built different.
and proving he actually has what it takes to seriously compete for the One Piece, a goal Luffy had every intention of accomplishing, which was established in Punk Hazard.
Wait, this actually surprises me. My plan is to crush all four emperors. I thought Luffy would never want to fight against Shanks. That kind of surprises me. Like, yeah, I get it. Luffy wants to defeat Blackbeard. Kaido, sure. Big Mom, yeah, we established that. But Shanks?
Even against Kizaru, Luffy was excited at running it back because he wanted payback and to show
I
how
feel like that's might even be a little out of character for Luffy. Like, I get that Shanks was telling Luffy, "Oh, return my hat once you become a great pirate and whatnot," but I don't think Luffy ever cared about fighting Shanks. I don't know. That just surprises me. Maybe it was just for the quote in general. Luffy was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna defeat every emperor," but he wasn't really thinking about Shanks.
strong he's become since Sabaody. But none of that matters because Oda doesn't care about power scaling, apparently. Like, why is it such
Oh yeah, bro. Nowadays, a lot of people were trying to say that Kizaru got nerfed or whatever, or Kizaru got like downscaled or something. Like Kizaru was just weaker than he should have been in Egghead. And I partially agree, but at the same time, it's kind of tough because it's like Akainu is the strongest admiral, and the other admirals don't seem to be like extremely strong to that degree. Like, I'm pretty sure Luffy probably high diffs Kizaru, honestly. For Aokiji, maybe it's extreme diff, but Aokiji doesn't even have much going for him, honestly. I don't really see how he's gonna hurt Luffy with, ice powers. Maybe if he makes like a little ice spear, but even then, I'm pretty sure Luffy could probably extreme diff Aokiji and stuff. The main thing with Akainu, the only reason Akainu is actually the strongest of the admirals is obviously the nature of his devil fruit. Like the pure attack potency is insane. Honestly, I think Akainu with the magma devil fruit, he probably doesn't even need advanced conquerors to pierce like Kaido's durability. I think purely just based off of the attack potency of the magma devil fruit that he might be able to punch a hole through Kaido.
issue to acknowledge that for a battle shonen like One Piece, a consistent hierarchy demonstrating how strong threats are is actually really
If there's any chance that Kaido and Big Mom are still alive, I want to see Kaido just fight Akainu for a little bit.
important to the story. I'm not saying it's the most important thing, no, not at all. But if you just say Oda doesn't care, then why doesn't Oda just make Luffy one tap Emu and get rid of the big bad guy right here and now while we're in Elbaf? It's because it's not consistent with what Oda has established in his story. Just saying.
I'm kind of confused though. Are they talking about like the balance of powers? Like, like, are they kind of like, are One Piece fans trying to say they prefer something like maybe like Jujutsu Kaisen in terms of like the power balancing or Hunter x Hunter? Like, I don't know if they're really talking about power scaling. Like, these are my thoughts, but I'm assuming they're talking about the balance of power and like avoiding power creep, where Loki is now considered stronger than Kaido, etc., etc. I think what One Piece fans want is just more balancing, I'm assuming. Like, if you look at an anime like Jujutsu Kaisen or Hunter x Hunter, the abilities are just a lot more balanced in general. Um, One Piece hockey helped it a little bit, but it's still kind of crazy because now we have these god devil fruits, and with hockey, it's just kind of whoever has stronger hockey, etc.
Oda doesn't care about power scaling over and over again doesn't make it true, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, again, I understand if you personally don't care so much for the deeper and nuanced discussions of character A's chances at beating character B. Like, I totally get if stuff like that is a turnoff and you just want to enjoy another aspect of the story that appeals to you. In my opinion, reading the story weekly for some people has made them somewhat short-sighted when it comes to these discussions. And it's really when you take a step back and reread other arcs, you realize that these discussions are actually kind of necessary. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense because it's breaking the logic of what Oda has been telling the audience for decades. And if Oda was as inconsistent as some people claim,
Honestly, does Oda care about power scaling? Hmm. I feel like, I mean, the thing is, there's arguments for both sides, but one key thing that I could see, the thing is, Oda buffed like Crocodile, didn't he? Like, Crocodile has returned and he seems to be stronger. We also have Mihawk working with Crocodile. Like, it does just seem like everybody kind of got buffed post time skip, and I feel like Oda does understand that power scaling is somewhat important because it seems like Crocodile's looking stronger, post time skip and everything, with him joining Cross Guild with Buggy and Mihawk, etc. And the truth is, when you reintroduce characters into the story who are already defeated early on, they have to be stronger or else they can't compete. Look at Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci got his I think he awakened his devil fruit or something, or he was kind of able to fight against Luffy a little bit on Egghead. But if that was still a Rob Lucci of the same strength during like frickin' Ennie's lobby, and he was trying to, box with frickin' Gear 5 Luffy, he would get like negative diffed, no diffed, bro. So honestly, Oda kind of has arguments for caring about power scaling because he constantly buffs characters. But at the same time, you could say that is only for the narrative and he doesn't really care about power scaling. He's just trying to, make the story work and make more sense. But I don't know. I guess it's just perspective. As a whole, I don't think Oda has like this extreme care for power scaling, but I think he does kind of care. As I already said with Rob Lucci, Crocodile, etc. Um, it's just difficult because I mean, which mangakas even really like directly say I'm a power scaling fan or I care about power scaling? Um, I don't know. I don't know. For me, like just in my mind, I'm thinking this is more about like again balancing power, like trying to do whatever you can to prevent, a power creep. Similar to like it just all end of the day, it comes down to power systems. Jujutsu Kaisen has a great power system. Hunter x Hunter also has a great power system. So those verses are always kind of going to be more balanced. In there's, I don't know, I don't know. It's kind of tough. Ultimately, I'll say Oda somewhat cares about power scaling.